think radicalized or radicalization is a helpful term in trying to understand terrorism. And there's two reasons for that. One reason is that when you say radicalization, it suggests that there's some kind of process, some kind of, five-step program that an individual goes through that makes them become a terrorist. But when you look at the empirical evidence, that's just not the case. There have been a number of studies on this, and the government itself indicates, that there's no one path to becoming a terrorist. There's no one way that everybody follows, but that it's a really complex path to terrorism. And so I just don't see that using radicalization simplifies it in a way, but it doesn't really explain anything. The second reason why I have trouble with radicalization is that when you look at some of the radicalization models that were put forward in the mid-2000s by the NYPD and the FBI, they all suggested that there was a kind of religious conveyor belt of radicalization. So you were a Muslim, you became more religious, you grew a beard, you started wearing Islamic clothing, you stopped smoking and drinking, and
all of which is possible without ever leading to violence.
Precisely.
Okay. That said, let's agree that we don't like shorthanding it. We've got the ability here to speak out in longer terminology. What we're talking about, something happens to people. And sometimes it's because of Islam, and sometimes it's because of misogyny, and sometimes it's because of gang-related things. Sometimes it's extremism from a white supremacist perspective. But things happen to people who don't start that way, and then somehow end up carrying out violence in the name of a belief system. And it does appear that that's a legitimate fear, whatever name you want to give that process.
Well, so I think you have to locate the current kind of terrorism that we're dealing with within the sort of spectrum of political violence. Political violence has been with us for centuries, right? And if you look at political violence, and there have been studies done, of the IRA, the Weather Underground, the Red Brigade, all of these groups from the 70s and 80s that were so fearsome, right? What you find is that there's a complex of factors that leads a particular individual to become violent, right? So one factor may be ideology or political belief, but there are also personal factors and your individual situation. And so all of these come together.
Almost always they combine.
And they combine, right? And so the difficulty is then when you try to pick out one strand, right, and say, aha, this is the strand that connects all of those. And so we're going to you focus only on this, you forget all of the others.